Hello and welcome.
What's going on, everybody? It's Taylor Roberts and welcome to the first video of the series, Let's Discuss, where I talk about different subjects and give my opinions on them, even though nobody asked for my opinion on it. Today, I figured that since a lot of you guys are fellow XOers like myself and that The Weeknd is dropping his new project in a little over a week, I would talk to you guys today about what I think or where I would rank The Weeknd's current albums 1 through 5. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit that little bell button so you get notifications of when new videos are coming out. Also, if you like videos like this, just leave a little like on the video and let me know you guys like it, and I'll make more of them. And we don't have to discuss music. It could be film, it could be all kinds of stuff. Why not? I got opinions. I'm gonna share my opinions with you guys because you guys are special. The Weeknd has had an amazing body of work in this last decade of that he's been around. Starting off with the House of Balloons mixtapes, and then Thursday and Echoes of Silence. Some pretty important players in The Weeknd's history. But when I'm talking about those albums, since they were compiled into Trilogy and re-released as Trilogy, and that is technically counting as chapter 1. I'm gonna go ahead and when I'm mentioning Trilogy, I'm mentioning all those mixtapes. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's just start with number 5. I'm gonna be placing Beauty Behind the Madness at the number 5 spot. I mean, look, it was a very impactful album. It was a very important album in The Weeknd's career. It took him from being this unknown, underground kind of artist and blowing him into the mainstream world and growing his fan base, which is a big thing for an artist. It showed that he was able to take what he was doing in the underground world but still doing the same thing but delivering it in a mainstream way, which is actually pretty probably difficult thing to do, you know. And when I first heard I Can't Feel My Face, I really didn't know how I felt about it. Then I realized that with every new Weeknd project that comes out, whenever I hear the first single drop, I don't know how I feel about it because I'm always expecting one thing, but it's always something different, which is a good thing because he's constantly changing his styles, and he's constantly growing as an artist. But just a few good takeaways from that album: I Can't Feel My Face, The Hills, Often, obviously. I do love As You Are. I actually love the transition as I Am. I just think it's one of those songs that just puts you in a trance. Like, listening to it, the production on it was just amazing, and his vocals he really got to show off his vocals on that song a lot more than we had heard him in the past. I do think though that there were some songs on there that weren't the greatest. I think his song with Ed Sheeran on it, I don't particularly like that song, but yeah, so Beauty Behind the Madness, even though it was a very important album, I'm gonna rank it at number 5, just because listening wise, I listen to Beauty Behind the Madness, but I don't listen to it as much as the other albums I have listened to. Number 4, we got My Dear Melancholy. Now, when My Dear Melancholy dropped, it was a surprise drop. It was just a short EP, but it kind of took The Weeknd back into this darker sound, which we had all come to know and like. And the production on the instrumentals, I mean, come on, are hypnotizing. And the production on the vocals and everything, like, it was a solid little EP. I remember hearing Try Me for the first time. That little intro when the beat drops and then he's just kind of riffing off in the background was just... it was like an eargasm when I heard it. A couple things I didn't like about My Dear Melancholy was that 2 of the tracks seemed like they were the same tracks, which it felt a little bit repetitive. As much as I love I Was Never There and Hurt You, it felt like it was a repetitive sound. It kind of it was a little boring. Actually, I think it kind of threw off the vibe of the project a little bit, but not so much that it made a huge impact or anything like that. Short little chapter, but a very good, solid body of work. So for number 3, I'm going to be placing Starboy in 3rd place because it was a totally different totally different sound. It gave us a electronic kind of trancey sound. And when the single Starboy dropped, it blew up. I don't think anybody had heard anything like Starboy before, and after that song dropped, they started copying that drum loop. But yeah, I mean, Starboy, the single itself was just a massive, massive single that dropped. But there's also a lot of other great songs on that album. Party Monster, Reminder, 6 Feet Under, Sidewalks with Kendrick Lamar, Stargirl interlude with Lana Del Rey, which was a beautiful, beautiful track. I do think there was a feature on there, though, that we didn't really need. All I know, I think Future didn't necessarily need to be on that. He didn't really add anything to it, to be honest. I think if it was just The Weeknd on that track itself, I think that track would have been better. I mean, the production on the music was different. The sound and the vibe of the whole album itself was completely different. Nothing that we had heard of before. It showed us that The Weeknd could take this mainstream thing that he had and take it to another level, which I feel it definitely did. So Starboy, I'm ranking at number 3. Now for the number 2 spot and the number 1 spot, it's close. I'm gonna say coming in at number 2 is Trilogy. And when I say Trilogy, I mean House of Balloons, Thursday, and Echo of Silence. Again, that whole body of work was something that nobody had ever heard of before. This dark R&B style with these kind of drug-fused lyrics and sex-fused lyrics, like. And I mean, we also had, I mean, a ton of songs off of there. I mean, The Morning is a gorgeous song. High for This, Wicked Games, Rolling Stone. Here's why I rank Trilogy at number 2. I think a lot of people like Trilogy because of the nostalgia. I mean, a lot of people, that was the first time they ever heard The Weeknd. So nostalgia definitely comes in, and as soon as you hear it, it impacts you. I mean, if he came out with Starboy first and Starboy had suddenly become big and then suddenly he transitioned to Trilogy, I think people would have been like, oh, I wish he'd go back to his Starboy ways, you know? Trilogy sounds like one long song. I mean, it's a crazy storyline going through these 3 mixtapes, but it almost gets too repetitive. I don't feel like there is enough difference between the songs to really be like, wow. There's a couple on there that really stand out. Obviously, Wicked Games, High for This. All those songs, they stick out for a specific reason, but the rest of the songs, if you were to look at it as just a giant body of work, a lot of those songs, as much as I love them, a lot of them sound really repetitive. But yeah, Trilogy, I'm gonna rank at number 2. I think when we're looking at body of work, that we shouldn't rank something off a nostalgia factor, because I mean, then you're just kind of blinding yourself to what new exciting thing an artist can do. So for number 1, if you haven't guessed already, I am ranking Kissland at number 1 as The Weeknd's best body of work, which is crazy because he's not a fan of Kissland himself, which I don't understand. Kissland was a whole different thing in itself. I mean, it was the continuation of Trilogy. We had that same kind of dark lyrics, dark vibe, but the whole thing was a lot more cinematic. It didn't feel like it was all just a consistent sound. The sound changed throughout the album, and I remember the first time I heard Kissland. I was living in Germany because I was stationed there. I was sick, and I had drank like a quarter of a bottle of NyQuil, and the album had just dropped. And I remember I had my headphones on, and I was laying in bed, and as soon as Professional came on, and it was like that doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and it went, and you hear that woman's kind of voice in the background. I don't know if it was me, or if it was the NyQuil, or if it was the music itself, but I was hooked instantly. Right from the first like 10 seconds of that song, I was hooked, and I already knew like this was going to be a crazy album. And then another thing is I had recently found the instrumentals for all the songs of Kissland, and I highly recommend to go on YouTube. I'm sure they're on there. Seek out the instrumentals for Kissland and listen to all of them as you would just the album itself. I mean, I honestly think the production of the instrumentals is what separates Kissland and Trilogy from each other, because there's so much going on story-wise just in the instrumentals themselves. It's almost like listening to a whole nother album, and you're picking up things within the instrumentals that you don't pick up when you're listening to the actual album itself, because the vocals are, they're overpowering the instrumental a little bit. As soon as I listened to all those instrumentals and heard all the little details going on in those instrumentals, it made me gain so much more respect for Kissland. It made me see Kissland in a different way. It made me experience Kissland in a different way. It just added so much more to it. Kissland has so many layers to it, not only lyric-wise, but instrumental-wise. And that's why I rank it at number 1, because I feel it's the most solid body of work when it comes to the sound of the album, the vibe of the album, the instrumentals, and the lyrics. But highly, highly, highly recommend you guys seek out, if you can, and just listen to the instrumentals themselves with no lyrics, just the instrumentals of Kissland. Listen to it all the way through, and you're going to understand what I'm saying. You're going to understand the beauty and the meticulous details that have gone into the instrumentals themselves. So then when you go back and you listen to the original album with the vocals, you then know the little pieces of instrumental that are in the background that aren't hiding there and aren't really at the forefront. It's going to be, you have so much more of an appreciation for what that album is. And that's why I rank it as number 1 of the Weeknd's best body of work. Now, we got After Hours coming out in a little over a week. I don't know where it's going to rank. Maybe after this album comes out, I'll have to change up my rankings a little bit. Maybe it'll move to number 1. But I do know that the production on it so far has been amazing. And there's been so many different sounds and vibes to this album that you really can't pinpoint where it's going to be until the actual album comes out. So that is it, you guys. That is my ranking from worst to best album by The Weeknd. What do you guys think? Do you guys feel the same way? Do you guys feel differently in my little kind of lineup that I had? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. Again, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share. Also, if you want me to keep making these kind of let's discuss opinion videos, you'd like more, go ahead and hit the like button. Let me know. I'm creating new content for you guys to enjoy, but I want to know, what you want more of, what you want less of, stuff like that. Help me help you guys. Again, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you next time.